live stream is going to be in your eyes and in your ears, and I promise you, because all the content we do is really good, that it is going to be absolutely worth the wait. We are just now checking our microphone levels, making sure the internet's okay and it's not going to go kapoom on us at any point. We've got the new compressors for the audio, so we're not spiking and not hurting your ears. In the meantime, you can of course check out this incredible piece of Redmen TV merch that we designed. I think you'll agree it's absolutely brilliant. Obviously I recorded this ages ago, so it could be literally anything, but I'm sure it's absolutely fantastic. And of course, don't forget as well, we've got our own streaming platform, that is Redmen Plus. Redmen Plus is the home of Redmen TV and has absolutely everything we do there, from in-depth documentary series to more relaxed podcast stuff like we do on the main channel on YouTube. So yeah, it's not going to be long now. It's around about 50 seconds. At this point, peek behind the curtain, what is normally happening is we're all panicking. I normally need a piss, to be quite honest with you at this point, and then have to run off. And Tom's normally sat in the room going, what's he doing? I've got no idea. Where's he gone? And it's always for a wee, because I've got a really small bladder and I can only last about 40 minutes normally, which is hell when you go and watch a Liverpool game, because they're 45 minutes off, especially when you've had a pint. But it is what it is, and we live where we live, and we've got to deal with what we've got to deal with. And I promise you that this content is coming up in less than 11 seconds time. And yeah, it's 9, it's 8, it's 7, it's 6, it's 5, it's 4, it's 3, it's 2, it's 1, it's your content!
Hey, what's happening? Welcome. It is Thursday. It is 7 p.m-ish. It is Thursday night pint. Another relaxed look at all things going on around Liverpool Football Club. I've got two more amazing guests for you guys. We've got a whole bunch of amazing topics. If you want to involve yourself with any of that, use the live chat here on YouTube, or if you're a Club Legend subscriber, of course, you can use the Club Legend Discord chat as well. I will be casually adjusting my shirt because that's got a lot of pull. That was a little bit too much collarbone. I don't think anyone can handle that much collarbone, so we've saved ourselves that. Before I introduce the guests, before we dive into the topics, which will include the future of James Milner and looking at Liverpool's summer rebuild, who goes, who stays, we'll also be rating your weirdest, wackiest and most firmly held football opinions and conspiracy theories as we bring the thumbs back into action today. But first, it is time for the week in Liverpool. Liverpool, of course, in the midst of a 17-day break from football. And if you thought that meant it was time to chill, time to relax, time for the world just to become a nicer, kinder, gentler place because Liverpool can't play and make you feel worse, wrong. David Ornstein wrote an article in The Athletic on Monday stating Liverpool's apparent position on Jude Bellingham, that they didn't want to get embroiled in a bidding war, and therefore I put them lower on the pecking order behind Manchester City and Real Madrid as well. Good of David Ornstein to drop that on the first day of the international break, which meant he can basically get all his clicks done for the week and just put his feet up and have a little bit of a chill while the whole of Liverpool's world was set on fire. Brilliant. Thanks very much for that, David Ornstein. Okay, it led to Tuesday, where, with the internet aflame, David Lynch, writing for Football Insider, actually wrote an article for Football Insider saying that no, Liverpool are still in the race, still in the hunt for Jude Bellingham, which should have calmed the Liverpool fan base. But obviously, of course, it never, because that's not how things work anymore. There were some more fitness woes for the Mighty Reds in this break, with the news that Cody Gakpo would be returning to Merseyside, having picked up an illness on duty with the Netherlands squad. A story which has an extra spicy twist that apparently he's contracted a virus from a dodgy chicken curry. There should be a bigger punchline to this. There really should be. But in reality, Cody Gakpo has got the thippity bits off a dodgy chicken curry, and now he's not played international football for a couple of weeks. R.I.P. His bog back home on Merseyside, I guess. Finally, Marker, and the greatest transfer guru on the face of planet Earth. No, not Fabrizio Romano, not DiMarzio. Indy Kyler, friend of the show, dropped the bombshell that Liverpool have in fact submitted a £97 million bid for Jude Bellingham. It remains to be seen, of course, whether this is true, whether it's enough money or whether it's just a bad load of bollocks. We shall see in due course whether ultimately it's the ultimate wind-up act of, FSG, which I'm sure will calm everyone's nerves on the whole Liverpool ownership front. Got another week of this shit, ladies and gentlemen. Strap yourselves in. Right, but without further ado, let's crack on with the show. I am joined by 4 absolutely stellar human beings. Let me introduce the first. It is the one and only Mr. Steve Hoare. Yeah!
Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
Good, mate. Yeah, I've had a good day. It's been a good day, and this is a great way to end it with great guests, great chat. So I'm in a good mood. I'm in a good mood.
You really are in a good mood.
I've had a good, productive day, so I'm good. I'm ready, ready and raring.
Excellent.
Liverpool haven't fucking pissed me off.
Well, yeah, David Ornstein dropped the bomb, and then we've had a few days to recover from it and try and find a way to find happiness in our lives. And you appear to have found that equilibrium. Well,
absolutely. And we had Neil in today, obviously on Geno Insights on Plus, and he kind of calmed some nerves for us as well. So yeah, it's where, by the way, go and check my show out, 99p. Use the code Geno. Redmen Plus, Geno Insights.
Stop crossing over shows. We've got our own code. Thanks very much.
And mine's better.
Cheaper.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm a cheap whore.
Right, Sad. Let me introduce my partner in crime. My partner in business. It is, of course, the wonderful, the legendary Mr. Chris Pajak. I thought you were going to cartwheel.
No.
I genuinely thought, what the fuck is he doing there when you put your arms out? Because that is you did your little snake hips, twinkle toes arms out, and that is also the build-up to your Chrissy Pajak cartwheel.
It's true. I've been working on my one-armed cartwheel.
After a competition with my daughter at a party the other week.
Competition with your daughter at a party.
I was feeling happy and fresh and delightful today.
Not me.
Not so much.
Chris is a little bit hungover today, right?
A lot hungover, actually.
You normally... No, it's been a while since you've been painfully hungover in work. It reminds me of our old days.
I wasn't sat in an alleyway this morning, though.
No, that's a good point. It is a good point. Right, okay, let's move on to the first of our special guests. Finally making her Redmen TV debut after spewing us off countless times. It is the only member of the Athletic that Jurgen Klopp doesn't absolutely hate. It is Caoimhe O'Neill! I said...
Oh, it is, isn't it? Aye.
He said,
Didn't know I
I'm
was
just
gonna
going to
do it,
walk
though.
in, he said, and look through the window and he's doing a little dance.
How is it to be the only Liverpool correspondent at the Athletic that Jurgen Klopp hasn't publicly called out?
I think he loves us all, doesn't he? And everyone loves me, so...
That could be debated.
That is true.
Thanks for having me, though. It has been a long time coming, hasn't it?
Yeah, we've gone through 3 different guest bookers who've all been smacking their head against walls.
Yeah, just like, she won't come on the show. And it was nothing against you, it was just timing. And
Washing me hair.
Better.
it was just WhatsApp, bit annoying, innit?
Yeah. It's how I got my wife. It's just eventually they have to just break them down.
Yeah,
them
it's how we got you. How we got you employed with us eventually.
Essentially,
wasn't it?
yeah,
Or was it the other way around?
Yeah, it must be.
That's how you got us
It's knocking on the door. Let me in. Fucking ain't my job.
Right. Okay. Let's introduce our final guest of the evening, last but by no means least. Star of the Great British Menu, executive chef of Luban, chef to the stars, Dave Critchley.
Yeah.
Look at the guns on the chef.
Jesus.
How you doing, entrance?
I'll have to come back just so I can...
Do that one again.
Do it again.
Do that again.
Try
A bit of flex.
something new.
Bit of flex.
Yeah, absolutely. That's very impressive. Most people who work in kitchens don't have your physique, Dave.
No, we're doing that, yeah. Well, we're trying to do something about that.
Well done.
trying to keep people fit, healthy, mentally strong, physically strong, and prolongs our careers. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, there you go. Novel. We toyed with
Not
that
many
ourselves.
chefs want to prolong their career.
We did talk about this previously, didn't we? Yeah, it's almost like the dream for a chef is actually to get out of chefing.
Yeah. You're meant to Anthony Bourdain it, aren't you? It is eat loads of food, smoke loads of ciggies, and then probably die young is the general path of it. So you're
doing all right.
Going against the flow.
40 this year, 40. So yeah.
A lot of that going round, isn't it, Chris?
Yeah. Dreadful.
Yeah. 41 this year, aren't you?
Shut up. Come on, lad.
Right, okay. I want to talk James Milner. Lots of talk that Jurgen Klopp wants to give him another year. We'll go into the pros and cons, but I want to get people's general thoughts on this. Do we think, Chris, talking about James Milner, he's almost become we can't judge him fairly because there's so much misery around the midfield and there's so much misery around Liverpool's recruitment that there's people who can't abide the idea of a 37 going 38-year-old James Milner involved in the Liverpool squad, which is probably a little bit unfair on someone who's that age and still the fittest member of the side and still actually performs a function.
He's a young pup, isn't he, James Milner?
Isn't he just? Isn't he just a baby?
Really winds me up
when people say
call him
37 and old, I'm like, oh, okay. Just,
To be fair, he's one of the only players who are older than me still. We're about to get over that cross up that threshold, aren't we? Where that no longer
Be a sad day, though.
Yeah. It is.
It is definitely a sad day, but we saw it several years ago. Didn't we?
It's horrible, isn't
I
it?
still see them as older than me, though.
I know, it's like he's so old. I'm like, yeah, but if I was on there, he's doing really well.
Yeah,
like, he can run a lot
100%.
more than I can run, certainly. Like, but the thing with James is, he's a model professional, we know that. He can play in loads of different positions, which is really good, which is something that Liverpool needs. He's English and he's got leadership. Mm-hmm. And the English thing's important for the squad at the moment, isn't it? With the makeup of it and needing to have the homegrown players and all that type of stuff. But if he goes into work every single day and sets the mood as the leader, then that's something that you can't replace very easily. 100%. And that's also a big part of it, isn't it? Yeah. About why you would want to bring James Milner back.
I agree on that. I mean, Keith, obviously you cover Liverpool professionally.
So do you?
Yes, well, slightly less professionally than you do. There's more dick and fart jokes in what we do than they have on the Athletic, of course. But that's the thing about Milner. I think you can only really have rational conversations around him to justify him. He's become a bit of like, because he does the board. He played into the board and James Milner thing. I think people think he's a bit of a caricature. I think there's a thing where because he's not very sexy in that regard, people don't have like that appeal to him. If he,
take that back.
You
take that back.
I'm having that. Did you see that thing the other day, by the way, where
he's a beautiful man.
He ran a simulation of what like the ultimate masculine male looks like, and it was James Milner's face. Yeah. So I'm not having that. Like, you can take that back.
Okay, we know what you mean. We know what you mean about sexy footballers or whatever.
But I mean, like if he was Italian, we've grown up on like ageing Italian footballers going on forever and everyone wants them to keep them around the squad, but he doesn't carry that value, so it does mean that people probably denigrate what he is sometimes.
I was thinking about this when we played Real Madrid, and obviously like Luka Modric is the same age. Yeah. And everyone's like, oh, Luka will carry on playing for Real Madrid, like, they'll work that out and he'll keep playing there. But James Milner's almost like a question mark, and potentially last season you felt like, should that have been the end of his Liverpool journey? Maybe looking back now, it would have probably been a nice way to go out, but then, he's still there playing right back in some games. Yeah. So he's a player that, is versatile and is needed at times. And I remember that Newcastle game towards the end of the season, he was the best player on the pitch, and you were absolutely like, he's got to stay at the club. And if there's fans feeling that way now, you can see why. Part of you is like, you can, a clean break would be okay as well. I think either way, whatever happens, I don't think anyone will be like too upset or sad about how it goes, because if he stays around, he's going to continue to be, someone there as a great squad option. And if he leaves, it'll be a nice goodbye, you'd imagine.
I also think, mate, I think there's too much to do in one summer already as it is. That's just another headache. If James Milner goes now, it's just somebody else, because they're losing three midfield. Well, definitely losing Chamberlain, they're definitely losing Naby Keita. Bobby Firmino obviously is going to leave. So there's 3 proper squad players you've already got to fill. There's doubts about a few others, the young players, injuries, etc. So it's just one less headache. Just to say, James, I have 1 more year. What you hope is that he has to play less. Because what happened this year was that he took less money and had to play more games because everyone else got injured or was crap. Yeah. And it's always like the manager couldn't trust anyone else. He goes back to James Milner. Yeah. And that's what it was. So his role in the squad, listen, if James Milner's Liverpool's 6th, 7th choice option at midfield and 3rd choice right back, that's fine.
He's a coach as well, isn't he? Yeah. You've got to only look at how he's been with the young players and the advice he's given them, and that's invaluable. Like, you know, such a long career. His
issue's been, Keith, is that everyone else will let him down, whether form or fitness. And he's been up and down himself. I think he'd admit that himself. But like, he shouldn't have to play that much. But he has to play too much because after midfielders can't stay fit, some of them have been crap, like absolutely crap. You could even say this about, like, you know, he's had to go right back a few times because Calvin Ramsey's been injured or whatever. That's been the issue. James Milner's not a problem. It's playing James Milner 40 times.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing, isn't it, Dave? Is that it's James Milner will play as much football as he's offered.
Yeah, 100%.
It's not, and it's almost like people blaming him for being there and available. We shouldn't be. We should be made up that there's a footballer of his calibre who's actually able to take to the pitch. He's Mr. Reliable, and I know that gets a bit like poo-pooed when everyone's got to be the best. Everyone's the best or they're the worst. Yeah. That's on Liverpool. That's on Liverpool to phase him out of the squad by having so many good, fit, available players that Milner doesn't get a sniff. But I was looking at it. First season he plays 45 games. Second 40, 47, 45, 37, 36, 39 last season.
He's a robot.
Mid 32 this season already.
Yeah.
The year is 2042 and James Milner's coming on at right back.
I haven't got a bad word to say about that man because on so many different levels, but like you said, he's there, he's available, model professional, he said before, you know, his lifestyle is enabling him to carry on and play at the highest level now after, 16 years, he started at 16, didn't he? Mm-hmm. So we're now on 37, 21 years at the top of the game, his footballing brain can't be bettered as far as I'm
amazed he hasn't got a skills VHS. Yeah. That's how long he's been playing football. Yeah. I'm amazed that he hasn't got one.
There must be something out there.
There must be like James Milner's soccer skills in a full-on VHS that you can pick up from 99p.
But for me, it shouldn't even be a question. Are we giving him another year? Of course we're giving him another year. His presence around the dressing room, like you said, with the young players, I think that is massive. That's probably his biggest role next year. Is getting the young players coming in, showing them the Liverpool way. He's become Mr. Liverpool these last few years.
And that's the thing, you don't want him to leave all that, experience, even if it's not in a playing role anymore. It's almost like you want to tap into that coaching.
A player around the dressing room. Klopp's always said it's him and Henderson. They're the voices, you know what I mean? Virgil recently, but they're the guys that are going to give you passion. You see some of the challenges he throws in now, and you're like, yes, do you know what I mean? That's the challenge you want to make right now. Yeah. He's got it.
We're going to go through it. Everyone, there's a transition coming. We all know there's players leaving and coming and going. Someone's got to be there to set the standard because the standard goes otherwise. And listen, there are other players. Don't get me wrong. If James Milner isn't there, your Van Dijks and your Robertsons, I'm sure they'll all be able to do it. But I've got no issue. My hope would be that next year he plays 20 games. Yeah. Because there are 3 midfielders who are fit all the time, just balling out. And he's playing right back in spots to give Trent a little break, or he comes on at the last 10 minutes when you win him 3-0. That's what we want from him. He's unfortunately there's a lightning rod on Liverpool because we have been rubbish, and he's just he's the least of your issues. Yeah. You know what I mean? At the problem, he's not, James Milner's not the problem. He hasn't been brilliant, but he's been all right.
Well, he's just started in the Bernabeu, and Naby Keita didn't. And there's young lads there who were meant to have potential and promise, and we're going to do that in part 3. But who haven't, he's getting picked in there. For me, just moving on to the sort of pros and cons, I'm happy for people to dive in on this. The pro for him is he's the bar. He's the level. It's like if you can't come in and match James Milner's work rate and his work ethic and just that general how you conduct yourself as a professional footballer, then you don't get let in the door at the AXA. It's almost like he's a bouncer, or, he's a cardboard cutout, and if you don't fit in the
silver, didn't he ask for a door?
Yeah, he's got the James Milner door. That's
that just sums him up, doesn't it? Really. Yeah. This is a very rational conversation about him, and the pros are all there, there'll be people listening going, no, I don't want to see that because of the time and maybe of it. If Liverpool announce a new contract for James Milner and they haven't signed any more midfielders, then you can imagine sort of the meltdown that will
happen. It's not his fault, is it?
And that's understandable, though. I think that's understandable. Liverpool, listen, I go back to it. He shouldn't have to play that many games. He's had to do it because players been rubbish and players been injured. And I would love it if Milner is third choice right back, 6th, 7th choice midfielder, and he's just there for 2 more years, and then he just pops onto the coaching staff straight away. Yeah. That's how it should pan out.
I think that what he's got. I've said this countless times before, but like the Ronnie Moran thing, Chris, where you need angry heads. Everything I hear about Liverpool squad and from meeting the people, they are all wonderful humans. They're all like really nice, and they're really bubbly characters. From like Jürgen's got it. I know he's got a nasty side to him when he needs to, which I'm sure everyone at the Athletic can attest to. But you go to like Mona Nemeth, wonderful human. Pep Linders is just such an upbeat, bubbly guy. I think you need people around there who will bite your head off a bit more for not doing what needs to be done. And Milner,
old school. He's bringing the old school there, do you know what I mean, isn't he? So
he's got to, though. That's his job, isn't it? But he's also teaching, as you know, the others have alluded to now, is that he's teaching young players how to be professional, how to be a Liverpool player, how to do it the right way, how to extend your career into 20 years at the absolute top of the game. Like, this is what you want, isn't it? You don't want players who can play at the top for 5-6 years and then fade away. He lives his life every day like he was always going to be a professional footballer. He's still living it today. It won't change when he hangs up his boots either, will it? That drive, that passion that he shows on the pitch, he takes that into the action every single day and sets the standard.
But also, we can still play. That's the main thing. That's all well and good. But if you can't play, then you can still play. Like this season, he's had the team have been up and down, but he's had some good games.
Man City at Anfield.
And that's when you want James Milner, just to throw him in. Someone's injured, right? You're in. I reckon it'd be dead hard for somebody not to play for 5 weeks, and then you're playing right back against Bernardo Silva this week. What I reckon the edge would go, but I think that's what you want him for, right? Trent's got a knock, you're in. That's perfect for
using his brain, isn't it? Yeah.
Anyone want to play devil's advocate?
Or not giving him a contract?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can play devil's advocate if he wants.
Mm-hmm.
That was it. There's nothing to say, is
really?
there? I really don't.
What's the negative? What is the negative?
The timing, as Kiva says, is the thing. Ornstein's article comes out on Monday. Liverpool aren't going to be in the race for Jude Bellingham. Tuesday or Wednesday, James Milner, new contract. They just need to sort the timing of these things out a bit better. If that had come out before or 2 weeks later, no one would have a problem with it, would they? But they're like 1 + 1. Oh no! Yeah. We're giving James Milner a contract instead of trying to buy Bellingham. That's what people are equating it to.
That's the thing of it's judging parts of business without looking at the full picture, which of course we never have until it's after the fact. And then by the time it's done, everyone's too busy worrying about what happens in the next window that follows it. But as far as a rounded bit of business, having a lad who can play in 5 different positions, and the only con I always see played out there is like he shouldn't be starting. And I agree. I don't think Milner agrees. I think he thinks he probably should be starting. He probably does look at some of those lads and goes, "What are you doing that I'm not?" And there's the idea of, do you want 37-year-olds in your squad? Are they standing in the way of players potentially? But again,
be better than him. Get past.
But he's the bar. That's what I mean. James Milner's the bar.
It's not down to him. Yeah, exactly.
Take your shirt off him.
I see. If the 3 midfielders come in and you give James Milner a contract, that's your midfield boxed as far as I'm concerned. That's brilliant.
The best thing about James Milner, I think, definitely in recent seasons, maybe that's fading a little bit, but you would expect it to, is when, the cameras pan or you're at the ground and you see his number going up. It's like, right, Liverpool are seeing out this game now.
Yeah. That's what it should be, yeah.
Steady.
He's the player that if you look to the bench to see out the game, he's the player you bring on.
He's going to come on, boot someone.
Yeah, he's the level head. He'll make the challenges where he needs to. He puts his body on the line, doesn't he?
And he'll talk to other players, which is such a key part of the game.
And the English thing is massive. Chris mentioned it before. Not because, but like we are losing homegrown. We are going to definitely lose Chamberlain. Nat Phillips. We've been saying this for ages, but Nat Phillips. I think Heath Kelleher counts in this regard.
I think he might go.
And, well, that's what I'm saying. There's a chance he gets sold.
He'll be sold, I reckon. Yeah.
So there's talk of loans for Carvalho and things like. You do have to have that quota. It is a thing. Like I don't think it's a shock that Mason Mount's being linked, for example. Because with all due respect to Mason Mount, there's loads of like similar players out there, but I think Liverpool are worried about the homegrown thing, especially with James and Jordan Henderson moving
Who's
on
the
a little
next Scott Carson? That's what we need, don't we?
Your sub-goalie being English.
Someone homegrown.
Yeah,
just like, no problem. Yeah.
That's what it is, but I think it is a fact as well. I just think in a summer where there's so much change, just take your bankers where you can. Just don't worry about him. Just sign a contract. He took less money last time. Give him the same deal. Just listen, you're not a problem. We'll cross this bridge down the road. The issue we've got, I think, actually, Paul, is that I don't think Liverpool will be that good if he jibbed it. Stop playing and went straight onto the coach, but he doesn't want to stop playing. Yeah. So if Liverpool don't give him a contract, he's not going to go straight onto the coaching bench. He wants to carry on playing. Yeah. And there's half a dozen teams in the Premier League which go sound.
Yeah,
we'll have you. He'd play for most of them. He'd be a rotational option for the others.
Let him go and do a wild shout one season at Wrexham, just because the Disney Plus documentary would go levels up for having him on that for a year. Would be absolutely sensational.
They just signed you Ben Foster.
We need him. We need him. Don't send him to Wrexham.
We had a super chat in about this from Liam Bento. Says James Milner, not sexy. Young ladies in Yorkshire view James Milner like a late 90s David Beckham.
I told you.
Best choice to play the next James Bond. He might have aged. Has he aged out of that role yet already? No.
That's horrendous casting, I'm sorry.
I think he could do a very good
doesn't drink
James Bond villain. I think he'd be a good henchman for the Bond villain.
Water shaking nuts there. Like Yorkshire tea.
I'm trying to find some real negatives to it, and the only negative I can put down is that if we choose to not sign new, good, young, top quality midfielders and instead suggest that James Milner's,
that's our new midfielder.
Yeah, but because
like a new sign.
Like a new sign.
We did have a little bit this year, 2 years ago. So when Wijnaldum leaves, Chris, Wijnaldum's the third choice DM. And then the second he walks out of the team, effectively Milner goes from fourth choice to third choice, and that was a subtle weakening of what we were doing. But it's a stretch. That's all I'm really coming up with. If the idea that James Milner ends up higher up the pecking order, that's the only reason why it's a bad idea to keep him round. But again,
I view the young players almost the same as the older players in some regards. So like your 19-year-olds and your 18-year-olds, your Pacetics and your Harvey Elliott's, I don't think they can play 50 games a season yet.
Body literally stopped them, didn't it?
Well, yeah, exactly, and that's the point. So between them, if you can get a season between one youngster and one James Milner, then I think that's like a perfect sort of mix of it. And him showing those youngsters what you're supposed to do in the middle of the park and, essentially a job share with them. That's kind of where you should be. I think Harvey Elliott's probably progressed past that maybe by next season, given he's been involved in every single game so far this season. But you still got to be careful with the 19, 20-year-old because the body's changing all the time, isn't it?
And that's why it's important to sign new midfielders, because you have to count those young players as almost not counting in a way towards and that's the same like you've said about Milner.
I think that was our biggest mistake, was not bringing in the players at the right time. A year ago, 2 years ago, and start better than bid. And obviously hindsight's the best thing in the world, but that's exactly where our problem was. We've ended up with such a gulf between our older midfielders and our young midfielders. There's no middle ground.
And the one player that is middle ground really is Naby Keita, and it's just not working.
And Chamberlain. And my issue is I wish we were good enough for that we could go, see you later, James. The world would be perfect, because what it meant was we'd signed a couple of midfielders last summer, and they were boss. And I was like, right, see you later, you're going to have a year at Leeds, and we'll see you in a year when you come back. Yeah. We're not that good.
I just don't think that the beauty of Milner is that because of the nature of what footballer he's been, he's never been the best player in any team that he's been in, even though, he's been in the clutch of them at times, he's been in great teams. It's not like the Gerrard factor where you've got like a massive ego at play where it's like, how do I go from being the guy... Like Jordan Henderson, I think, is going to have this issue in the next couple of years of... A lot of us are having these conversations like, he just needs to become the next Milner. Well, you might not want to be the next Milner. That's a very rare trait of a footballer who's happy to really dig in and do a load of bits and pieces.
Dirty work,
and that's what I think. What Milner, for me, he's just invaluable because they don't exist. You don't go and find a player who's played that many games at the highest level and tell him that he's going to be playing right back this week and left back the next week and centre mid and blah blah blah, and then they go and do a bit of the academy and all this. They'd be like, fuck off,
Yeah.
mate. I'm
The
37 years
mentality.
old. I'm just going to swan around and do me. Ronaldo, you know what I mean? Cristiano Ronaldo would rather go and play in an absolute nothing league.
Where he can score 5 goals a game, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Watch the wall.
Still be
part
the
and the
superhero.
goalkeeper
He wants to be the
throw a free kick.
superhero. I think the mentality of Milner is something that all the youngsters should be aspiring to. Every player should be aspiring to that. So
That's really good.
yeah,
We have had someone who's given us a con. There we go. Mr. J Mango says Milner is partly the excuse for why we do not sign competitive squad players. We don't need a right back, have Milner. Don't need centre mid, have Milner. Look at where that has taken us. He is an excuse.
yeah, but not his fault in any way,
No.
shape or form.
But they have signed them players. They just haven't been good enough or haven't
Yeah.
played.
Yeah,
Liverpool bought
Ramsey.
They bought Ramsey.
should
Liverpool
have
bought
been
right back. They bought midfielders.
Gomez plays right back.
I don't agree with that.
James Milner in years gone by would have been absolutely perfect, but I think with 5 subs, I kind of get his point at some stages of it. You know what I mean? Like, you should have a dedicated right back. We do. He's just injured, as Steve says. Yeah. We should have dedicated midfielders on the bench at all times. You know, you can put the entire squad there now, pretty much, can't you? You know, and you get to use 5 of them. When it was 3 subs, having someone like a James Milner on the bench when you could pick from 7 was a massive thing. But now you get to put Kostas Tsimikas on the bench, a dedicated left back. That never happened.
Yeah.
He would always throw James Milner on there in case you needed a left back cover
Or a
for Andy
right back.
Robertson and
Or-
stuff. So I
100%.
do understand it, but we have actually got those players.
I think it's the understanding is if you were to spell out the pecking order of Liverpool's squad, James Milner's role in that squad has been the same for about 4 seasons now. It's what you're talking about. It's second to third choice right back. It's 4th choice in either of the 8. It's third choice in DM.
Left back as well.
Left back. Yeah, exactly. Third choice left back. He's been that forever. That hasn't. I don't think that's stopped in the way of us signing other players. It's just, you're right. We own those players. They've just
not performed.
They've just not. Yeah.
We've been
And it's hard to
injured.
get them players. You look at Tsimikas and he's the perfect backup left back because he'll take that job on, which is not always easy to do, is it? Like, he seems comfortable and happy in that role. Getting those players that will do that and also perform to a level that you need is so difficult to find. Hence why.
And Nico's the antithesis of that because you know he didn't want to hang around under Trent Alexander-Arnold. Wants to go and play footy. Done a season.
Keith Keller's going to probably do the same this summer.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, good to be actually found someone to say something.
Yeah.
You know,
To be fair,
counter the point.
you essentially called him ugly at one point.
No.
A little bit.
Nope. Nope. No. Rugged.
A little bit.
No,
Not sexy.
I said, yeah, no,
not letting that
sexy. Like, yeah. Okay.
Got your back, James. Got your back.
Right. Sounds. Okie dokie. When we return from this very short break, we're going to be rating your weird, wild, wonderful, die on the hill football takes and conspiracy theories. But first, we're going to highlight some of the best Liverpool supporters clubs we've featured on Thursday Night Pint so far. Yes, welcome back. If you want to feature, whether it's just a gang of you hanging around in various corners of the world watching Liverpool Football Club, email interact@redmentv.com. Send us some vids, clips, photos and all that good stuff, and we'll give you a little feature on upcoming episodes of Thursday Night Pint. Always good to celebrate Liverpool's global fan base. I know that we're living in a weird world where there seems to be some sort of like every now and again it rears its head of like, oh, you've got to have a purple bin and support Liverpool. It's not the case. People can love Liverpool from wherever they come from, and we'd love to celebrate that. Right, it's time to rate my take. It's back after a few weeks break to introduce the concept to our guests, which I would have had time to do if someone's taxi hadn't turned up 10 minutes before we started.
Who was that?
No idea.
Sorry, I grassed on you there.
I'm going to read out people's
get stitches.
interesting. There's a variety of topics we've got to cover here. I'm going to ask, you don't want to ask us to do it collectively, but I'm going to go around and ask people to individually rate it, whether they think they rate the take or they do not rate the take. It's as simple as that. First one from Tom Little on Twitter says, their kite is Liverpool's most underrated big game player of the 21st century. Anyone?
I could live with that. Like,
Yeah.
certainly one of them.
I mean, I'll sort of...
Somewhere like this.
Who doesn't rate him as a big game player?
Well, this is a great point. I saw
Saying he's
one
underrated.
One
so.
tweet today, I don't think I put it in, but it was, there's no such thing as an underrated player, because the second you get asked who an underrated player is, you name them,
And you rate
and then
them.
they're being rated. So it's
Almost like a trick question, this. But,
Yeah.
He was a big game player.
He was a big game player, and I think we forget about him. So I'm gonna go like do you know what? No, I'm in.
All in.
Cuba.
I'm
all
sort
in.
of there. Like, I'm thinking of that hat-trick against Man United from the combined distance of 1 yard.
Bosto.
So that's the big game I'm thinking about.
Derby
He
game.
just
probably.
worked hard, didn't he?
He was
He
a
was such
grafter.
a good player. So
I-
maybe I'm
Come on.
going a bit more.
Everton had that
Come on.
little spell where Tim Cahill was the biggest shithouse in Merseyside derbies going. He'd be all over the goalies and stuff, and then Dirk just started doing it in them games, and there was a little bit of like,
Yeah.
go on,
Get in there.
give them a little taste of their own medicine, which I enjoyed.
I think he's absolutely spot on. And I think the reason is, if you were to ask any of us who's a big game player, none of us would have picked their coat.
Yeah.
Okay.
We would have
I think
forgot about
if
him.
you'd
We would have been
who's a big
talking
game
about
player the
Gerrard.
last
We would have been
15
talking about the
years.
Torreses, and you know what I mean.
Yeah.
We would never have mentioned Kaut. So yeah, that's why I'm in.
Big goals, like winning penalties and shootouts in Champions League
Yeah.
semi-finals. Yeah, he was unbelievable.
The work
Am I
rate
allowed to
as well.
spoil upcoming content a little bit?
It depends.
Just do it
Do you want
to
to
me.
whisper it to me first?
The manager that I spoke to an ex-Liverpool manager, put it that way, about Dirk Out. I forget who that was, by the way, the only one he had.
That's not true.
Is it? I think it might be.
You've been speaking to Roy?
Did he have him? Yeah. Okay, then one of the two. No.
Kenny?
Okay. Oh, brilliant. Yeah. Maybe I haven't spoiled it. Anyway, he was telling
Definitely
me.
spoiled which manager it is.
So they want left now.
Yeah, right. And he basically told me like you were surprised. They were surprised by the fitness levels and like the he was talking about mentality of Milner before that kind of stuff. Like he was just like on a different planet.
Rare breed.
And he just brought him up to me. Did the unknown manager X. Let's call him Schmapper Schmamitas.
Just in case there's any doubts.
He very much enjoyed teams that were compact.
This guy, yeah. He spoiled it anyway, Rafa did, because he put a picture of Chloe on his Instagram stories at the time we spoke to him. But anyway, and
It's not as weird as it sounds, carry on.
yeah, it might be. Spoke to him, and away from the cat, we were talking about serious players, and I don't want. He did mention like Kaut was like big when they moved into right back. That's when right back. When they moved into right wing, it unlocked Liverpool because it allowed the likes of Gerrard and that to just do what they wanted because they knew that they had their Kaut just basically filling in for them. So I think it's a good shout. I think if you look back, Everton, United, who's our biggest games, big semi-finals, their Kaut was always involved in them.
The James Milner of the mid-2000s?
No.
Bigger?
Different.
Well, I mean, literally different. They played entirely different positions, but I mean that like you'll never get anything less than 100% out of him at all times. Yeah.
I'm in.
Adore their Kite.
Yeah.
So it's a big thumb up from me. I like
You
that.
asked him what to say his second name, and we're still none the wiser.
Well, I've always called him Kaut, and then it's like Quit. So I've gone with Kite.
She got something completely different to both of those things.
It was like when Costas doing. So he done an interview with Costas Simicas, and the first question Chris said was, "I'll just say your name," and he went, "It's Timmy Cass." Scouse people can't say, but it's Timmy Cass. And Chris went, "Oh, Timmy Cass," and at the end he went to him, "Right, thanks. That was questions with Costas Simicas." And he literally went.
Why did you ask me? Like, you're just going to ignore me.
I love when you ask someone, you go, "How's that pronounced?" And you nod, and you go, "Yeah, I'm not going to do that."
Not sure.
It was like when I got schooled on how to pronounce. I always said Smeacher.
Schmeichel.
until Gerrard told me it was Schmeichel in the middle of an interview, and I nearly fell to pieces because I didn't know how to handle Steven Gerrard's quite cutting tone at the time. Like,
Schmeichel, is that what it was?
Schmeichel.
Actually, for sure.
I mean, I'm certain it's not.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure Stevie called him that. But
I mean, Carragher called Cisse Sissy. Didn't
yeah,
he?
it sounds very scouse.
Right, okay, next take from Ashwin, R94. And I have to say 4 different people tweeted me this one in different variations. And he says, pardon me, we would have won the league in 2009 had we not sold Robbie Keane. Sold him just when he started picking up form and chose to rely on Ngo to deputise an injury-prone Torres. Liverpool would have won the league in 2009 if we'd kept Robbie Keane.
That's a tough one.
I can't remember why we didn't win the league. What happened?
2008, 2009, Federico Maceda.
Oh, fucking hell, yeah, I do remember.
He scored about 7 games on the bounce or 11 games at the end of the season, didn't he?
The issue we've got here, right, is that Rafa Benitez funny to them, I guess. He didn't tell me that, by the way. I have to clarify
Steve
that.
redefining what off the record. This is why we're not as professional as you.
He hated snobby.
I think this came from Robbie Keane. I heard an interview with Liverpool. He done one of Liverpool recently. He's basically, the managers didn't fancy him for whatever reason.
It was the weirdest signing.
It was mad that he bought him.
Someone should have told Chris.
I know. I had him on the back of the shirt and everything.
It was exciting though, signing
I liked him. He was good.
an Ireland player
I have
at
no
the peak
idea
of
why.
his game.
It was just that
and
strange, wasn't
didn't work, did it? But I do think back to that, and that was one of the questions sort of raised about that season. That if he would have stayed, would he have scored like? It would have just been. I mean, you just need one special moment, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Was this because I think I'm right in saying this is the season when Gerrard's behind Torres like as a 10.
Yeah.
And I think that's where I think Liverpool stumbled upon that. But that's where Robbie Keane wanted to play. So I get why maybe it didn't work. But the second Torres got injured, always unavailable, and we were like, with all due respect to David and Gog.
There was just games, wasn't there, where he'd just bring David and Go on towards the end, and you just knew that he wasn't really going to make a difference. But I don't know whether Robbie Keane was that good for us. Like, I don't remember him being terrible for us, to be honest. I was so excited about him because
so excited that you got
Torres
his name on the back of you.
Together should have been.
It should have been amazing.
Phenomenal with Gerrard sitting behind.
You can see the idea behind it. It just did not work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go.
Go on.
I'm gonna go. No, it wasn't the reason. It possibly a contributing factor, but not the reason that we didn't win the league that year.
Yeah, I'm going to go no because they should have signed a different striker, one that the manager didn't want to sell 3 weeks later.
I do like it.
That probably was the better idea.
Tweet.
My only memory of Robbie Keane playing as a Liverpool player was we played Arsenal and he scored at the Emirates, and we had the red shorts and socks to go with the grey shirt. Yeah.
That's it.
I was at home
and I realised how pathetic. That's literally my only memory of Robbie Keane as a Liverpool
was
player.
it his first goal? I remember being there when he scored against Atletico Madrid, and the place went wild. I do remember that.
We wanted it to work so badly, didn't we? The Irish connection as well with Liverpool.
So, out of interest, he scored 2 against West Brom, 1 against Arsenal, the 2 against Bolton the following game. Scored against Middlesbrough. They went back to Spurs. That was it. That was his Premier League goal scores for.
He did score against Atletico. I'm not making that up. I've got a vivid memory of this.
In the Champions League.
In
the Champions League, he scored against PSV Eindhoven and Atletico Madrid.
well done, Steve.
No, so I remember that. That's the only thing I remember about him.
That 7 goals. Yeah.
Another 7 would have been all right, wouldn't it? Surely. I'm gonna go.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Say
Yeah, it's a good point. Add 7 more on.
Yeah.
Would that have won us the league?
Let's say unequivocally yes or no, because that's what we've got.
Yeah.
A binary rating system.
Yes.
yeah, fuck it, why not?
Multiple people text you that take.
I had 4 different. There was 4
It's a
different
good
people.
take. It is a good take.
He's playing for the Legends this weekend. Maybe that's why he's back in the news.
Yeah.
He's playing on both teams this weekend.
He is.
Celtic.
Half for Celtic, half for us. Yeah, one of his many boyhood favourite football teams. He was a fan of Wolves, Coventry, Inter
Milan.
Grew up support LA Galaxy, didn't exist. He still managed to support them.
There's LA Galaxy posters on his wall as a kid. A very similar one here. We had a number of people send this one in as well. This one I picked is from Jamie J. Who says, if Jordan Henderson doesn't get a red card against Manchester City, we win the league in 13-14.
Yes. Not even a doubt in that one for me.
Yeah. Do we need to discuss that?
I don't think so.
Because that was Coutinho scoring. What a moment. And then that happens. And then you look back and that was it. That was the moment.
He didn't play against
Chelsea,
and then obviously he was suspended for that Palace game as well, which
So
obviously in the end...
important for us.
The Chelsea game, he was basically... By that point, he was Steven Gerrard's legs. And we lost. Did we play Lucas? And it just didn't quite work out. We had nothing going.
We lost the engine. We lost the
Gerrard lost his head.
Can I give you one? Can I give you a rate my take? If Jordan Henderson doesn't get sent off in that game, Jurgen Klopp doesn't become the Liverpool manager.
Oh, go on, Chris.
Butterfly effect.
The butterfly effect, because he would have won the league.
Yeah, because when a manager wins the league,
you get a few years.
When Rodgers went through that spell,
we'd have all forgiven him.
But he won the league.
Brendan Rodgers, Liverpool, and on our way to glory. Yeah, remember that? Yeah, we went. Spoilers for that one. Yeah, that would have been the greatest Liverpool chant of all time. Preparing his statue alongside.
Might still come just a couple of years later. You never know, but
yeah,
it's a good shout.
I think go on, I'll have that, Chris.
Great shout.
I rate your
ahead.
Yes. Well done. And I do also give it for Jamie. Well done. Very on theme. I'm saying like I didn't literally put all these out myself.
That's good. You're building suspense.
All TV is fake.
All TV is fake.
You wouldn't believe what I curated earlier today.
Probably a sign about my brain's fading more than anything else. George Kershaw says James Milner will only retire when he gets beaten in the lactate test pre-season. I think that's it.
Yeah. That's probably in his contract.
Yeah.
To be fair.
Yeah.
I'm going to go no. I think he'd come back the next year and win.
Yeah.
He's not having
go away to train.
That's like a boxer going out on a
go
loss.
to Tibet, up to Buddhist monastery for a year and come back and smash it. But I also think no one's ever going to beat him in a lactate test.
No, it's true.
I love that.
It is literally his release clause. It's not a fee.
Yeah.
It's just if he fails the lactate test.
Yeah, it's like a loser leaves town match, isn't it? Like, I mean, it's like he's got a career match and someone finally comes in. I think it's a bit like the Highlander. It's like how you can only beat another Highlander by chopping the head off. That's it. You can't get rid of Milner until you've beaten him at the lactate.
Like lions who leads the pack. Like when the young pup comes and kills the big lion. Yeah. Someone's going to do. If he lost that, imagine how many press ups he's doing, and then he's challenging to another one next week. He's bringing them all back. Not a chance.
He'll be running up mountains in Siberia, like Rocky 4,
chasing chickens.
Yeah, absolutely, brilliant. Yeah, it's like he busy. Gakpo. Okay, so we agree.
Yeah.
He's only
I love that. Yeah, love that.
Yeah,
Steve doesn't.
If and when he gets beat. That's it comes to us all, doesn't it? But maybe not James Milner.
No.
Yeah, okay, let's move things on. Ooh.
There it is again. There it is.
Done it again.
Whereas?
For the drama, darling.
Okay. Joe, did you make that graphic for this one? Of course he did, because it's been here all day.
Which one?
The one that you're about to read out, there's going to be a graphic on the bottom. This totally random thing that you've just found.
Oh yeah, so yeah, Joe's typing fingers have got his major carpal tunnel syndrome by the end of this show.
I just asked, did you script the ooh? Is that there
That's written
too?
there.
That would be revealing too much. Yeah. Come on, we have to make some sort of
I need to see the agenda now.
It'll be the first time you've looked at one.
Remember when Joe Biden read that? Remember when Joe Biden read out like pause and repeat or something? Say ooh,
ooh. And this was another one we had multiples of. There were slightly better versions of this, but I did pick this one out because it was a bit more succinct, and then I've wasted that by talking for fucking hours around it. Daithy Gray. Liverpool's Sadio Mane was better than any version of Ryan Giggs.
Oh. I'm going to go viral, I think, here. Ryan Giggs is a fucking myth. Absolute myth. He was
about that, Steve.
Mate, he was really great. He won fucking BBC Sports Personality of the Year 1 year.
I mean, I'm not sure Roger Giggs' wife will agree, but yeah.
Okay, well, fair enough. I think I see these like best Premier League 11s of all time, and Ryan Giggs is left wing, and I can't believe it. His numbers are again, it's a different era because he's a midfielder. But I can't. How did he win Sports Personality of the Year? It was like a participation award.
It was like Martin Scorsese winning the Best Director Oscar for The Departed, which was a great film, but it wasn't like all of his legendary great films that have gone before. Like, we've got to give him one before.
It's a Lifetime Achievement Award.
Yeah, exactly.
DiCaprio got his Oscar in a similar manner, I thought. But yeah, I'd have Mane every day of the week. He scored goals. I like footy players who score goals.
Yeah. Giggs has got like more league titles than some wingers get goals in a season, though.
Yeah,
he was brilliant.
He was absolutely brilliant.
Everyone's spending the whole season thinking about Mane, though. Thought about him so much. Liverpool miss him terribly. I miss him.
Yeah,
that's all I want to add.
We're all here with you. We're all here for you. I also miss Mane.
It was the tear rolling down.
That wasn't even
delivery. You gotta get the delivery.
That wasn't even scripted.
It was perfect.
That defo wasn't scripted.
That was a beautiful moment.
The most goals.
Are we still?
The most goals Ryan Giggs ever scored in a season was 17.
That's a lot.
In 58 appearances.
Has he won the league 13 times?
94. Yeah.
I mean,
that's ridiculous, isn't it? Like,
I mean, like, this is the point, and I'm all in on this. There was someone made another point on one of the tweets, and it was the idea of nostalgia plays a huge role in judgment. So there are deified Premier League footballers, and because some are a bit more modern, or maybe they didn't play in teams that won loads of stuff, it means that you're all automatically discounted from the conversation. So United having the titles almost like galvanises that, like, their place in footy.
Yeah. He never turned up for his country, and he was banging his brother's wife. I'm not giving that man no credit.
Yeah, do you know what? Yeah. Fuck you, Ryan. But no, absolute, like, Ryan. I rate Ryan Giggs. I grew up watching Ryan Giggs, but as I'm outrageously biased towards Liverpool, yeah. What I said
Everyone
before.
remembers that goal against Arsenal in the FA Cup as though Giggs did that every week.
Yeah,
and he never.
No.
Because that's why it's like name another Ryan Giggs goal. I'm sure there'll be Man United fans who'll be like, he's got this and he's got that, he's got that. I mean, generally speaking, like, I'm not.
If you said to me, play 4-4-2, best left winger that's ever played in the Prem, Ryan Giggs all day.
I'd have Mark Overmars ahead of Ryan Giggs.
That's fair.
What?
But if you say, is Ryan Giggs playing in Sadio Mane's position? No. But they don't play the same position, so it's really hard to compare two players. Yeah. If you're playing 4-3-3, Mane's in there. If you're playing 4-4-2, it's Giggs all day.
All right, Chris, fucking GJMU. Fucking
no,
hell,
was that an up or a down?
I'd much rather have Mane. But then you are, that's like saying, we're doing a left back or a left winger. Because they're just different players.
Okay, but was he better than any version of Ryan Giggs then? No.
Mane's peak was higher than Ryan Giggs' peak.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
But over the course of a career, the consistency of 17 years at the absolute top compared to what Mane did.
Can you answer it by the 90-degree rotation of a foam?
I forgot the question.
Please, Chris Page.
Yeah, I think we're meant to go.
Sadio Mane was better than any version of Ryan Giggs
on his day. Yeah.
Cool.
Outrageously biased, but I'm not asked.
It fits in with Paul.
This is what this is about.
Craig Bruce's one fits in with this. Paul Scholes was severely overrated, and no amount of fake quotes changes that. I got caught out big time on one of the Lad Bible videos where I had to make a case for, I can't remember what the video was. Now, it was Liverpool Man United combined. And I think someone said, oh, that was it. They said, right at the end of it, Paul, can you agree to disagree and say, well, at least Paul Scholes and Gerrard are better than Lampard? And I just went, I can't. I always thought Paul Scholes was shit. And that ended up as like the fucking clip, the fucking intro to the video, got absolutely slaughtered across social media for 2 months afterwards. I hated Paul Scholes because I never watched Man United, but I did watch England games, and I never understood Paul Scholes from that. He always used to get booked for doing shit tackles. He didn't score. I didn't score loads of goals. He was dead slow. He didn't have loads of. I never understood Paul Scholes as a footballer. I always preferred there were other players I preferred, but there's too many good footballers who said he was good for it to be.
I thought he was brilliant. Again, I feel...
Fucking hell.
No, he was brilliant to watch.
Is the picture
Steve
you were there
Bruce
with
was
United
fucking
shirt?
class as well, wasn't he?
Who?
Steve Bruce,
Nah,
Gary Pallister.
Shit him. Dennis Irwin, though.
Dennis.
There's a modern fullback for you.
Yeah.
Paul Scholes was a hell of a footballer.
All right, cool. Well, good luck. We're going to leave that.
We're not even voting on it.
No. John, who at Golf's Poorly, says Peter Crouch was 3 lads in a football costume.
Yes, all day.
Love that. Yeah, love it. What a take.
Like the Anselm mob.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, I'm off on that one. Right, okay.
There we go.
We've got a new count.
Caoimhe O'Neill. I'll start with you.
I thought she was in the question.
I
thought she sent it in.
I said, I didn't get a chance to write one in.
Michael Doolan says, on the whole, wrong one. Arsenal invincible side is an overrated achievement. Chris, as a closet Man United fan, surely you agree with that statement.
Didn't he draw
12.
Yeah, they
12
drew
they
a lot of games. Had they won more, but they didn't get beat. So
I'll go again. I'm happy. I'm in.
Overrated.
Yeah, because it's what how many points you can get. That's literally the point of it. They were drawing. They drew 12 league games.
12.
Yeah,
26.
Don't get me wrong. They won the title, so it's an amazing. Any time you win a title is amazing.
Yeah.
But like, there you go. That people try and talk about them as like the great Premier League sides, and they were really really good. But like, I think there's teams who have finished second in other title races that were better than that team, including us, including
how
Manchester
many
City.
of the draws were like last minute equalisers?
I remember the when it became a thing, I remember like that they were going to try and do it. Like I thought Liverpool side that won the league, for example, when we were before that Watford game. Yeah. If we'd have done it with that team, then it'd have been like the achievement of achievements, because that was you were winning every week. It wasn't just draws. I think people thought this Arsenal side, and that little gold trophy they got.
Would they have got the gold trophy, by the way, if they'd drawn 38 games in the season?
Yeah, probably. I think so. They would have got relegated too.
Yeah.
Mate, if you offered Everton 38 points a season with a 0 goal difference, but they'd bite your hand off.
Like people always shit on the invincible stuff. They got 90 points in an era that no one ever got to 90 points. That's really good.
No, they were good.
And they never got beat. So most league winners, I would say, probably around 10 games of draws and losses. It's not that far out.
Yeah.
When you consider it, it was like, oh yeah, but that Man City only drew 6 last year, but they lost 3.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? It's like
my take is the unbeatables, like that part, not the team, not the point tally. That's not overrated. I think that's an achievement, a big achievement, to go a whole season without getting beat. Yeah, so I'm down.
I think if Arsenal win the league this season, though, that's a bigger achievement than the Invincibles for me. I mean, they're in the era of Erling Haaland scoring 6 goals a game and whatnot.
Yeah, Man City.
That feels, but then it's recent as well, so it's happening now, which is
I think that's
a problem with our brains, isn't it? We're only very.
I think that team has the best
now.
ever Premier League player, isn't it?
Mo Salah.
Henry.
I still think, yeah, Thierry. Henry, he was winning, as well, yeah.
Colo?
Yeah, Colo. Yeah, you are invincible. Remember that? Good fun, that. Not as good as the General Colo song, but I don't think that it's an overrated achievement at all. I think I hate it. That's my point. Manchester United fans, because they had that really bitter rivalry that's kind of stretched on weirdly into the modern day. Yeah. They try everything in their power to denigrate the success that Arsenal had there. And I'm like, God, because we've seen it. You know, we've like lost one game in a season and what have you, and we've gone through all kinds of stuff. It's ridiculous. It's the psychological thing. It's like bowling the perfect game. You know, there's plenty of sitcom tropes around that of you get to that final thing and all it takes is one moment, one little slip up, and it's not really an important thing. It's not central to your title challenge. You don't need to go unbeaten to win a title, but then to have that as the undercurrent while you're doing it, the added pressure on you for no reason whatsoever, to be able to do it is good. So I don't think it was overrated. I think it was with it. So
I think it's down.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's an amazing achievement, to be honest with you. I think when no one else has done it, if 7 teams had done it and they had the most draws, then it would be shit. By comparison, but when no one else has literally ever done it, and you probably point tallies wise, it's probably only about 10 or 11 teams that have ever finished on higher points.
It's a good point. Yeah, he lost loads of games in the cups that year, though. Just didn't have an unbeaten season, did he?
Yeah. just putting that out there. Bastards.
Right, sounds. A final take of the week comes from Adam McGarry. It says, on the whole, goalkeepers that wear short sleeve shirts can't be trusted.
I instantly think about Bartes, and it all makes sense. That
all lunatics. Emi Martinez is a lunatic.
What does Hugo Lloris do?
Alisson's wore plenty of short sleeve. Yeah,
Has he worn sleeves
sure
underneath?
He definitely did in like the promo stuff for shirts.
Yes,
I don't know whether he does in
affecting me.
Nowadays, they have like an under thing on as well, don't they? But Lionel Perez is the one that sticks out in my head. He was the Sunderland goalie, and he was just rubbish.
And we're saying Lloris wears short sleeves.
Does he? That wouldn't shock me in the slightest.
Yeah, I think he does. Adam Ramsdale definitely does, and I don't like it. I think he's very good. Yeah. And I think all short sleeve goalkeepers are lunatics, and you can't trust a lunatic. So yes.
I think it's a good take. Yeah, I mean,
it's a great take.
I don't know. I'm just
big fan of
your own fashion. Do what you want to do.
Be yourself.
But they shouldn't be trusted, is what he's saying.
I mean,
can you trust someone who wants to be
the
himself?
thing is, it's like it's mainly
secrets.
because like your arms would just get sore, wouldn't they? Like,
that's what I'm saying. Obviously, a lunatic. There's a chance for not to get grass burns here, mate, and you're not taking it.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Madman.
I don't. We said this the other day. I used to do that a bit in summer just to be a knobhead, but I wasn't.
I'd want the padded sleeves from the 90s if I was playing in goal.
Big shoulder,
yeah, that's what I'd
have.
have.
Tracky pants as well.
Yeah, full.
Probably a cap as well. Just
Why don't keepers wear caps no more?
I know.
I've seen
they
it
used
occasionally.
to all wear caps and now no one wears a cap.
It seems to be the lower.
Can't remember last time it happened.
Lower teams in the league seem to wear caps.
It's a very Mark Bosnich look, is the goalkeeper cap.
Remember Joe Hart had to borrow one off the crowd?
Yeah.
That was a thing, wasn't it? He didn't even own a cap.
Okay, yeah, I do agree. It used to be like you only ever saw goalies on like the continent, and there was a general rule of like all continental goalkeepers are rubbish, and it was the ones that you'd see on Eurosport. You'd be watching, you'd turn Eurosport on in the 90s, and there'd be like some footies from mad place, and the goalies would all have short sleeves, and they'd all come running out the box and lose stuff and do crazy things.
Oh, you know what?
Take people out.
I've got a feeling Buffon wore short sleeves.
He did, yeah.
For a bit.
It
was very
you would trust Buffon.
It was very in vogue in like the mid 2000s.
I'd trust him in long sleeves though.
The dudes that have short sleeves in the final.
I don't know about the final, but he was another one who wore short sleeves.
I think he did in Istanbul. Fuck.
Yeah. No,
he left 3 goals in, it's fine.
Yeah. Right, Charles, that is right, my take for this week. If you want to get yours in, you can send them in to us. By the email, you can tweet us at the Redmen TV and all that good stuff as well. We're going to take a very short break. When we return, we're going to be looking at Liverpool's summer rebuilds. We're going to be doing keep, sell, loan on a couple of players and all that good stuff as well, so stay tuned.
Hey everyone, this month's prize for our Redmen Plus Club Legend draw, we're not just giving one thing away, we're giving 8. We've got 8 6-packs of these amazing Liverpool beers, presented by Carlsberg for their 30-year partnership with the Red Jet. We've got Ian Rush, Johnny Barnes, Sam Yippee, Robbie Fowler, Jamie Carragher and Lewis Garcia. If you want to be in the draw to win one of these 8 6-packs, then all you got to do is head to redmenplus.com, sign up as a Club Legend subscriber. You get loads of perks, you get free merch, you get discounts off other merch, you get access to the Discord chat, free tickets, loads more, but most importantly, you'll be in the prize draw at the end of March, and yet you could be one of the 8 special winners of these amazing 6-pack of beers. If you're going to do it, make sure you drink responsibly, make sure you're over 18 as well. But yeah, redmenplus.com, sign up as a club legend and get your hands on one of these amazing prizes, hopefully.
He's got his Bobby Mimos.
Yeah. And they let the Alsatians go, and these dogs like run towards us.
The unleash the hounds.
Yeah. I turned to the cameraman, and instead of going run, I'm like, film this. And so he's just filming it.
Would you let someone on your chest for the
Right,
title?
yeah.
And you're like, yes.
Yes, I would.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah,
Fucking
yeah.
for a league title.
For a fiver.
To end the 20-year wait. Yeah, absolutely, I would.
I can't send an audio file of me.
This
is
how
really
it's
long.
strung.
Yeah.
He's talking lenses.
Yeah, listen to this chord. Have a guess what I just strummed that with? And he pressed the wrong button, so the window on my side starts going down. I go, Dad! Dad, no! That's how it ends!
With Imperial Mint.
And that was just one of the most bizarre period in my life.
Yep, if you want to get involved with that amazing competition, as the wonderful Steve Horse said, head over to redmenplus.com and join us a club legend. Upgrade. And...
To read the script.
Who counts?
If you want to watch Redmen Uncensored, we've got a boss back catalogue of those shows now, but these guys are going to be joining us after this show over on there for a free-form life chat. Which, there's a circle of trust involved. All the stories are contained within there, stay within there. So come and join over there. If you want to get a discounted code to go and try that show out, head over to redmenplus.com. Choose a club captain monthly subscription and use the code TNP to get 50% off for 3 months. Come and check it out. It is really, really good. Lawrence and Terry were class last week. We had John Welsh the other week telling us a story about John Otsemabor, former Liverpool youth right back, being shot in the bottom in a bar. Oh, there's loads. It's a sensational show. Going all the way back to James Sutton having fake pornographic nudes of himself on the internet. It's a good show. Go check it out. Right.
You want to Google it, mate?
Yeah.
Don't Google
I don't.
James Sutton.
James is a big twin. Yeah.
Or do.
Just DM me, Sandy, you're frightening there.
Right.
Don't list it.
Snap question. I want an answer from all of you, so we'll go from left to right. How many players do Liverpool need to buy this summer? Dave?
Oh, God. Okay. 5.
Kiva?
Yeah, I feel like it's 5-2.
Okay.
I mean, it feels like they need 100 midfielders. I'm going to say 2 or 3 midfielders are necessary.
Right-sided midfielders.
And then a couple of others for the other positions that are necessary.
Agreed.
Okay.
So, to be honest, that was a good answer. I'll just steal that.
There you go. I'll have that one.
In the summer. So, we kind of touched upon this before, Chris. Ox, Naby, Bobby, all leaving on a free transfer.
Mm-hmm.
Milner's not signed yet, but again, let's imagine that he is staying.
Please.
Phillips is going to leave.
What about your 2 goalkeepers?
Kelleher's going to go.
Kelleher and Adrian are probably both getting off, so maybe you might need 2 goalkeepers coming in.
I've already lost count.
It's because it went bigger than 5.
What can I do to
Maybe use this.
This is my making a stand point.
Pointing hand.
Is Jota getting sold?
Ooh. Well, okay. Well, now that we've got that, is there anyone else out there that you think? Let's go. Who do we think should leave?
It's harsh, that, isn't it?
I think Joe Matip's going to go, and I think it's right that he goes. And I think Liverpool need to buy a younger centre back.
So we've got 3. So we know there's 3 definitely leaving on a free. We're talking, and then the ones who are likely to leave and then be transferred. Phillips
and Matip.
Anyone else you'd be considering?
I think Kelleher's going to leave.
Kelleher might. I mean, he played for Ireland the other night. He wants to
play.
Yeah. I think he was happy doing that for a while.
I think that concept would probably offer him another year because it's an easy fix, isn't it? He knows the club, he knows everything. He doesn't play much.
I think if Kelleher goes, I'll go up to 5.
Okay.
But I'm not planning on Kelleher going. I think Me and Josh did a deep dive this afternoon, which will be out on YouTube tomorrow, pretty much around this entire topic. We shaped the content today around the pillars that you build around, and who are the pillars that you keep. The big question mark for me is over Fabinho. Mm-hmm. Is he a saleable asset, and is he past it? He's probably a saleable asset, and I don't know whether he's past it. And if Fabinho's past it, or isn't going to be at the level that we need, then you need 3 midfielders.
I think one
and that's a big issue. That's a huge issue. Signing 3 midfielders.
It almost makes it even more complicated than it already is, doesn't it? The Fabinho.
Whoever comes in midfield has to be able to play DM. One of them. They don't have to be a DM, but they have to be able to play DM.
It's whether Bajcetic then goes back to being that 6.
Mm-hmm. See, I think
that's the question.
He probably will be. Only I think the fact that he can do both. He's almost the perfect example. Him, Fabinho, and I think you need one more. I'm not sure Jordan's the answer in that position anymore, if truth be told. So, I think it's 3 midfielders, a centre back, and a goalie. They were the 5.
Yeah, I'd take the goalie off as my 4.
Yeah.
3 midfielders and a centre back. But mine is a left-sided centre back.
Okay.
I think you have to start planning for Virgil van Dijk leaving at some point in the next couple of years.
There needs to be the new Virgil coming through now.
Yeah.
100%.
Mate, I think Joe Gomez is lucky as well. Like, he's another one without saying before, but you'd let me if everything was perfect, you'd let James Milner go. I think if everything was rosy in the garden, I think Liverpool would, because I think Joe Gomez would be a saleable asset, like you said.
I think if we had the cash, he'd be gone. I think if we were cash rich, he'd be out, he'd be gone. But
I'd be adding to that. I think the Joe Gomez conversation, Gomez and Jones, I think, fall into this argument as well. But they're different stages of their career, where we should be keeping them around, for me, because I think Curtis has got a lot more to prove, obviously. Because with Gomez, you can still go, well, when we went on that run that won us the league, he came in, he was alongside Virgil van Dijk.
You've got to caveat that with more injuries.
Yeah.
And is he going to be the same?
I mean, only when I'm having a conversation with him about Curtis Jones, is that there's a spell of Gomez's career where you can go, he was the man and he was brilliant, and we've seen a top level. We've seen the best that Joe Gomez, I think, can get to. I don't think we've ever really seen more than flashes of Curtis Jones. Is the point on this? But the issue we start to stumble into is because we're doing it already. We're entering into 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
That's impossible. 10
footballers leaving, and we already need to bring. We could do with 2 or 3 now.
Yeah.
To add to what they've got. You're looking at 3 just to replace the ones who are walking out of the door. You then start to open up all these issues of what you're going to do. But that's the real challenge: is who wants to go. They're not going to stand in the way of certain footballers. But there's a can of worms, I think, that can be opened here with Liverpool's transfer stuff, Chris, where if they're not careful, you've got to manage these lads and you've got to make sure that they feel welcome, because Gomez and Curtis Jones are homegrown footballers, and if they're only squad players, which effectively is what they are, I think they're a decent quality. Again, more to prove from Curtis, but they define the level of your squad, I think, because they're all right footballers. I don't think everyone needs to be a superstar. It's the John O'Shea, Darren Fletcher arguments that we always make. Yeah,
that's it, isn't it? You've got to bring in first teamers, and they've got to be the squad players. I don't think Kurt's done enough to nail down his first team place ever at Liverpool, really. So he's only going to be a squad player until he proves he's more than that. Joe Gomez is an interesting one, but I'll be honest with you, and I'll be quite brutal and frank here. I don't think he's good enough anymore, Joe Gomez. But I also consider how much work Liverpool have got to do in the transfer window, and he doesn't fall by the wayside yet. He's maybe next season or the year after, when you haven't got quite as much to do. Yeah. When I look at it, I'm thinking I want 3 central midfielders. Yeah. That's hard in 1 year. When you look at what Real Madrid have got, when you look at Modric and you look at Cruz and you look at Casemiro, who's just gone out the door, but then they've also got Camavinga, Valverde, Tchouaméni. They brought those players in when Cruz and Modric are still in the side. It's incredible job of rebuilding while the plane's in the air, to use an old manager's thing. Liverpool are literally, the lads are not good enough and we need new lads. That's a really bad situation for us to let ourselves be in.
And it's between old and young almost. There's no one in the peak, I think, is it? Arta, the one player who's in a peak age for a midfielder, which is just played like 14 minutes or something.
And he's another one who's going in the summer.
There's an argument to be made that Pachetic and Elliott are the only Liverpool midfielders who you could say, you know what, I wouldn't sell them. In a perfect world, there's arguments to be made for the rest of them. Thiago's, because the injuries are an issue. He's brilliant when he plays. Henderson, age. Fabinho, that really big question mark about legs. And you can go on injuries, etc.
This is your last chance to sell Fabinho.
Yeah, if you're going to do
because if he's not fucked, he's fine. But if he is fucked and you don't move him on and you find that out 2 weeks into the season, 3 weeks into the season,
he falls into the Joe Gomez category. Chris just mentioned that there's bigger fish to fry.
Yeah.
There's a couple of lads who are in that thing. I think Matip's going to be the fall guy. I think they're going to have to. I think he'll go, and I think that's going to go. Listen, if it was me, I'll be honest, and you might laugh at me. I'd rather keep Phillips as fourth choice than Gomez. More for the cash. I'd rather.
Where the fuck did that come from?
Wow.
Yeah, no, 100%. If Liverpool had the game tomorrow and I had to pick either of those two to play centre back, I promise you I'd pick Nat. And I know that's not a popular opinion, but also...
No, you know why it's not a popular opinion?
Because you think it's wrong.
It's fucking stupid.
All right, that's fine. It's my...
His opinion.
It's mine. And I stand by
This
it.
is why it's good having these conversations. Because if you're there on the internet, you'd find a little weird clique who backed it up. You can live in that Nat Phillips bubble forever.
I'll stick by it.
I like Nat Phillips.
He's never let us down, though.
No, he's fine.
I'll stick by it, and I think you get more money by selling Joe Gomez. And we need three midfielders to go and buy. And there was literally an article written by one of Kiva's colleagues the other day saying Liverpool don't know if they can afford one of them.
Yeah.
So someone's got to go.
That's a good shout, actually.
Someone's got to go. And I think that's why Matip's going, because this is the last time you're going to get any money for him, because he's going down to a year left.
I think when you think of Kelleher too, he's one of the more saleable assets because of how young he is. Liverpool don't. And Fabinho, I don't think, have Liverpool been good at selling players at the right time? A lot of players have ran the contracts down.
This is the thing. This is almost the most important thing. It's probably second most now because we need to just buy boss players. But Liverpool their recruitment in was spectacular. But their ability to move players on that weren't good enough for boss money, that's we've almost forgotten that Liverpool have not been able to do that. And that's a little bit of a lingering knock-on from COVID.
We were sensational at that. We were.
But they have made incredible amounts of money on players that haven't been able to feature, like Brewster and that kind of player that you wouldn't expect to have
made big money.
The problem is with Kelleher is that he's boss, and you've then got to go out and buy a backup goalie, which is the hardest job.
They do think really highly of a couple of the lads in the academy that they might be able to step up. Though,
we saw a couple of Brazilian lad, didn't we?
I don't think he's on loan at Macclesfield, isn't he?
Number 3, maybe.
Harvey Davis at the minute, the Scouse goalkeeper. He just seems to go from strength to strength, and he's playing for England under 20s at the minute. So he's definitely one who's, and also homegrown, which would help with that. So you wouldn't really be shocked if he's one that sort of elevates up.
It's that thing of Alisson's been good. He's been the best goalie on the planet again this season, but we have, touch wood, so far. He normally has a little spell out in every season, doesn't he? And we've kind of been all right with that. And when Kelleher has come in, he's deputised that.
Done a good job, hasn't he?
It's that thing now of Adrian's gone past that point. It's been 3 years since he had his really useful spell for us. He's been more liability than safe hands. Kelleher's now upgraded to the point where no one's asked if he starts games for us because he's absolutely brilliant.
You have to start that again, don't you?
Exactly.
It's hard, like Man United went through it with Dean Henderson, and that's what they had to go out and get the Bravker on loan, and they had all this, because that's what happens if your backups that good, they don't stay backups. And listen, Kelleher, we mentioned before, what Milner playing in Kelleher will play for half the Premier League. Straight away. So if I'm his agent or if I'm him, I'm saying, you know what? Listen, you've got to let me go.
I think the money matters for him.
I think Liverpool would get a centre midfielder for the money that you get for Kelleher.
Yeah.
I genuinely think you're 40 million quid for Kelleher.
Yeah.
That might be crazy high, but that's probably what Mount's going for. And what makes more impact, really? Yeah, it's hard to get a backup goalie. Fucking give a shit. It's really hard to get a centre midfielder who's going to play every week. If it's just a straight choice between this guy equals centre midfielder that's going to play every week, sorry, backup goalkeeper.
Yeah.
I want the centre midfielder that's going to play every week.
Yeah. And he'll be a real success story, wouldn't you, Kelleher, of this goalkeeper. Liverpool were really keen to do this. What did they call it? The goalkeeper school or whatever they've built there. He's the perfect example. Go and sign a young kid, develop him, get him to this amount, and sell him, because that's perfect. And
also buyback clause him.
Well, that's my point on this.
Boss.
Because
what you could do, by the way, Paul, you could throw him out on loan, Courtois.
This is what I'm going to say. Courtois was the example of. you get him a 2-year loan out somewhere at a really, really good level, but that doesn't help your financial situation in the short term. But I would be really concerned if we need to sell the best backup goalie in the Premier League just to be able to afford an essential part of another thing, because you get it short blanket. You're leaving yourself with untested youth players as you back up in that position, or you've got to go out and find someone else. He might have to go because he might just want to go. Just to bring it back to Gomez. Does anyone think, because obviously Jamie Carragher was talking about Trent and his defensive capabilities and all that kind of stuff. Does anyone think Joe Gomez, his ability to play right back, gives him that extra benefit in terms of making sure that we do keep him around for another season?
100%. I think the fact that he can play at right back, he's probably I reckon he's our second choice right back, because Ramsey's just never played for whatever reasons. Milner is clearly our number 3, unless we're playing a big team. And Klopp puts his trust in Milner over him. But yeah, I think it's 100% keeping him here at the moment. He can play centre-back, he can play right-back. He doesn't have great games sometimes, but he can be solid. He can do a job at right-back. He's just not a Trent.
I just look at Keeper. I look at what Ben White's doing at Arsenal, and I don't see anything there that Joe Gomez couldn't replicate. You know, he's got pace. He's really comfortable on the ball. He isn't a brilliant technician in the final third, but he also is a little bit underrated in terms of what he can do in that. He got a couple of really good assists last season.
Yeah, he did, didn't he? I was thinking there was always those question marks around him when he would play right back, that he can't do what Trent does, but no one can.
Yeah.
So it's almost unfair to even question him in that way. What you do get of him is that defensive solidity you don't get with Trent all the time, even though I think the question marks around his defending are unfair anyway, because that's kind of not what he's there for, and it's the risk Liverpool have taken for lots of seasons now. You know, get used to it almost. Yeah. With Gomez, I think when he starts there's not like that worry of maybe, you know, that he's going to be solid, but you don't know what you're going to get going forward. I don't think he's the worst, like running with the ball and crossing in, but he's just not as good as Trent. But hardly anyone is. And I think it's interesting, like Calvin Ramsey obviously injured. Conor Bradley's another one, probably maybe a saleable asset, to be fair, because he's someone that, you know, top clubs will be looking at. He's having a great loan with Bolton at the minute. I think they're in the pizza trophy, as it were, in a few weeks, and you know, he's playing really well and garnering loads of admirers, definitely. So it comes back to that thing where it's so hard to have someone like Kostas Tsimikas on the other side that is just happy to sort of do that job. Joe Gomez can do that job, but he can also play centre back. So
the problem is we need him. We've needed him too much at centre half to be the cover we've needed at right back this season. And that goes back to the idea of getting rid of Matip. I think it makes sense to go and get someone. Can we finally just be in a world where our second choice centre half is as fit as Van Dijk? Because that's literally been Liverpool's thing. We've needed 3 other centre halves, and they pass the baton. Like someone, it's like running something through a battlefield, and one of them gets sniped out, and he hands over the baton as someone else comes up and takes it, and they get taken out, and the other one takes it. Keevan, is there anyone else? You mentioned Conor Bradley there, and in the academy, so you've got the way like Bacchetta's just come into the, you know, from almost out of nowhere and made himself a first team member this season. You've got Tyler Morton maybe on loan at Blackburn, whether we'll have a look at him in the summer. First Tyler Morton, but also is there anyone else you reckon who might be putting themselves into the equation for first team stuff next season?
Yeah, I think Tyler Morton will, like, you know, be one of those academy players. Loads of them go on pre-season, don't they? And I think what he achieved last season almost gets overlooked a little bit because of maybe the progress of Bajcetic. You know, he did just come out of nowhere, didn't he? I think I said this today, actually, if you knew about Bajcetic, you kind of know about him, and if you didn't, now you do. You know, and that's kind of the feeling with Tyler Morton last season, but we've kind of, you know, it's this season now, so no one really cares about last season in a way.
He's so last year.
And, you know, I think his time at Blackburn has been up and down and mixed, but he's, you know, I think he's played 40 games or something, which is ridiculous. It's March. He's played 40 games in March. So I think he's definitely someone who is more suited. I was chatting to a Blackburn fan, I think a couple of days ago, and, you know, they said that he's definitely a player that would maybe be suited more for the Premier League because you get that little bit more time on the ball to pick out passes. The Championship's a bit, I mean, it's crazy. They play that many games. It's a bit more intense in that way. It's a tough league to play in. So I think he'll come back to Liverpool and look a completely different player even to what, you know, the flashes that we've seen. And they were off brilliant. He played at the San Siro, like, you know, it was a crazy time for a young lad from Wallasey. Yeah, so I think he's definitely one. As for others, I'll scratch my head and come back to
Stoke's probably
it's
one.
It's Stoke.
Yeah.
He's already in it.
Stoke's massively rated in
It's
Scotland.
Stoke and Gordon. I was thinking if Firmino's going to leave and they're not going to replace him, which we don't think they are, it's a shootout really between one of those two and Fabio Carvalho, who gets that like number 6 role.
Carvalho?
You mean the sixth?
Sorry, the sixth. Apologies. Sorry, sixth in the forward pecking order. Yeah.
If you're playing that Phillips at centre half, you can probably afford a creative 6.
Listen, Xavi
Fabio Carvalho.
Xavi did it for years. He might be the next Xavi. No, but I think we all forget about Kate Gordon as well. Because the injury this year, he was in the team.
Yeah,
he kept senior players out the team at times. I've said this loads of times. Jürgen picked him in a semi-final against Arsenal away. Kate Gordon's on the pitch. So they obviously really like that kid.
He hasn't. Well,
he's had a hip, February,
it's like a growing sort of issue, so they had to sort of, you know.
The only concern on him is it's that he's one who you might just find like he appears out of nowhere next season and he's there and he picks up exactly where he left off. But because of the Brian Brewster thing, was name come up before. There's a lad who missed 18 months of football through injuries and it's just not worked for him ever since. Now, fingers crossed, that actually helps them manage.
It's the same this season, I think, like I just mentioned, Morton for now by Chetic. Obviously, we know he's out to the end of the season, but Kate Gordon last season was the guy, wasn't he? And then obviously Ben Doak has sort of become it. It is so crazy how football just changes like that from one season to the next. You know, you're that youth player coming through and then, you know, someone else is.
Tyler Morton has played more minutes for Blackburn, or more minutes of senior football this season than all but 2 of Liverpool's senior footballers.
How many has he played?
He's played 2,800 minutes for Blackburn this season.
How many's Adrian played in the last 3?
How
many's
probably a lot distinctly less than that. But yeah, the only players in Liverpool squad who've played more minutes is Alisson and Mo Salah. They've played more minutes on the pitch than more. And I know, again, different level, but it's actually an interesting thing of like that robustness and being able to survive a season in the Championship could hopefully stand them in good stead. Just quickly then, before we wrap up on this, I want to keep a loan on Harvey Elliott and Curtis Jones. Is there anyone who would be doing anything other than keeping Harvey Elliott as a senior footballer?
No, I think he's cemented his place. He's playing good football. It's not amazing, but no one's been amazing this year. I think we're seeing him grow into that midfield now. So 100% keep.
Everyone say? Everyone agree?
Yeah, it was the defensive question around him at the start of the season, and then was it against Wolves? I think he put up like the highest like counter pressing of any. So he's just getting there, isn't he?
He's so good, that kid.
And he absolutely loves Liverpool. Like,
okay then, Curtis Jones, Chris.
Thanks. Maybe alone now. I think he's had his opportunities and he's found them hard to come by this season. And if you believe in Curtis Jones, it's probably for his own good to go and get some actual football. No. And that's hard, because I want him to succeed at Liverpool. I really like him as a player as well. When he burst onto scene, you can see what he brings. Yeah. I don't think the transition from left wing to centre mid has been as easy as everybody thought it was going to be. I think it was right. I don't think he was going to be good enough to take Mane's spot on the left wing at the time. And you know, we need lots of goals and lots of assists from those forward players. So I think it was important to move him. But he needs to go and get footy, and he needs to get it at the right type of team as well. It's not Championship level for Kurt. It's getting a Premier League loan as well, which is you might find it difficult to do.
Injuries are doing him, man. This thing where he can't train.
Yeah,
it's doing him no favours at all.
It's mad because he's 22, and I think a lot of people he falls foul of having been around for so long. And I had this argument with my cousin this other week, and he was like, "Well, he's not kicked on. He's 24, 25 now," and I'm like,
"He's just turned 22 recently."
He was literally 21 at the time. I was having this argument, and he was like, "Oh, well, that changed my opinion a bit, but still."
Yeah. I think that's harsh on him in a way, because he did come through at such a young age, similar to Trent, but then he's had more of a difficult time of it. It's hard to get into that midfield
as well, to some extent, when you see someone absolutely tearing it up. Yeah. Trent, which is funny to say it now, because obviously everyone fucking hates Trent Alexander-Arnold for some reason this season, but Kurt was, almost like, it was like being Carragher in the shadow of Gerrard, albeit the ages are the wrong way around. When you've got someone who's clearly world class, there's an expectation that you need to come into that level, whereas Curtis Jones actually doesn't. He needs to just be a
steady player. Steady,
reliable.
I think he'd be great. Yeah, reliable.
Yeah, that's what Jurgen's constantly said. Consistency's been the key word around him.
Yeah.
I think you keep him though. He's so young to still, be an important member of the squad, and I think he still dreams of, being a starting player, and he trains probably that way. I know this season he's had a bit of an ankle issue. I think you mentioned there. He's been training on different days, and some days he hasn't been able to. If that day's fallen on a game, he hasn't been able to be involved in that kind of stuff. So I think that might be behind him now, because he's away with England at the minute, isn't he, under 21s, which, a couple of games there for him, I think will do him a lot of good. And then, I just think there's this eternal hope with him that he'll come good, and I do feel like that will happen.
There's a load of weird pressure on him from, it doesn't feel, I feel he gets more of a pass definitely because he's a Scouser, and I genuinely think players should, because I think it's important, but it's the time of the injuries, isn't it? He had the eye injury last sort of winter, which is when we really needed midfield. This is when Tyler Morton's getting games. Yeah. Tyler Morton gets games because Curtis Jones can't play. That's kind of not quite exactly comparable. And then again this summer, Naby Keita starts the season, who knows, injured in inverted commas. Oxlade-Chamberlain's injured. Jordan Henderson gets an injury. Thiago gets an injury, and you're like, great, this is Curtis Jones' opportunity here. And then he's out for that period as well. And footballers can miss their moments sometimes, and I worry that if he was to go on to he might get a Premier League loan, but he might end up at a bottom end Premier League team. It's like going to Norwich, and all of a sudden you're struggling because you need to be a confident player in a confident team or whatever. It's a weird juncture for his career, I think.
Yeah, you're right. And there's too many of the injuries as well. Again, I think I'd probably sell him if the money was right. Well, it's what the money's. I don't think the money would be right because the injuries. It's a vicious circle. I mean,
and do we need to sell any more midfielders?
And that as well. No, but he's
homegrown.
He should be a saleable asset in theory, because again he should. But the injuries have just done him in. So there's no value in selling him. So he needs to play. So I actually think the loan would have been a good option. But again, it goes back to the last thing. We're doing too much anyway, so he's gonna have to stay.
Yeah.
But it is a concern. Because he just can't play, and it's really bad for his development. It's the shin splint / ankle growing stuff where you can't even train with the players. You can't play for Liverpool if you're training every other day. Mm-hmm. When you do play, you're not going to be able to give a fair representation of yourself. Yeah. You're not you, because these lads have trained all week and you've been dropped in and out. So,
but Leslie King.
Rolls Royce.
Jake Pegram sends us a super chat in and says, FSG doesn't invest into a decent midfielder, why not sell the club? And also adds, and can you make a pecking order for the positions we need to address the most?
Centre mid.
So
centre back.
What?
Goalkeeper.
Right sided centre mid, left sided centre mid in equal measure, or is the one above the other?
Right sided centre mid.
Okay.
Yep.
Then is it left sided centre mid, or is it DM, or is it centre half?
It's the eternal, is Fabinho goosed or not?
Yeah.
If Fabinho's not goosed, then left sided centre mid is more important than it. If it's not, it's DM. So if Fabinho's a little bit past it, DM's more important because Thiago's still boss as your left sided six.
I'll go.
Albeit you can't get a full season out of him.
Right midfield, left midfield, DM centre back. The centre back one is going to be. I think if they do let Matip go, then that might even overtake the DM one.
Yeah.
Because at least you've got options there. Liverpool would be down to 3 centre backs. One of whom's also your backup right back. Yeah. That becomes a big glaring.
Also remember the last time Liverpool went into a season with 3 centre backs and Fabinho was the 4th option. Yeah. Didn't go well.
It tends to the prioritisation. I mean, obviously a lot of talk of Josko Vardiol, but he's another one who's going to cost big dough. But that's where we're kind of at, unless someone emerges and we've got a boss deal that we're about to unleash on the world for 15 or 20.
Gavi for nothing.
Gavi for nothing. Let's just do
that would be amazing.
Let's just do that. Let's just do that.
Let's do that, Liverpool. Just buy Gavi for nothing. That makes sense. And then I'll sort out all the problems, right?
It'll help.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Can I throw one more in there quick? Fabio Carvalho.
Yeah, good
loan. needs to go and play footy, doesn't he, that lad?
Yeah.
I feel so sorry
He hasn't
for
played any minutes.
Yeah,
He just gets
it's
a
been-
couple of minutes here and there, last 90 seconds and stuff. It's like...
It's been a weird one, hasn't it?
Let's get him out on loan for a year.
Imagine, like, if he would have been loaned back to Fulham this season, he probably would have had the time of his life.
Yeah.
They've been flying.
We had a conversation in the office yesterday about like the amount of players we've signed over the years who were number 10s and we've never played a number 10, so they never got to really do it for Liverpool. And he's at the latest in a long line of, you've obviously got, no one really plays how we play. There's sort of similar analogues, isn't there? Which is why we had Southampton as a feeder thing for a while, and we've done the Red Bull group at times. But I look at him and go, they obviously must have seen him as capable of playing midfield or one of the front three positions, but it's mad that it just feels like they've kind of decided to shelve that project this season, and I don't know.
It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know.
Almost like he was bought, let's sell in a couple of years for money to buy someone else, but yeah. It's weird that you won't even get games when we were crying out for something to change. It's like you've got Carvalho there, he can't score a goal, he can pick a pass out.
Yeah.
It doesn't come out.
He's got an eye for goal. He really has. He's got a knack that people don't have. Like
just being in the right place at the right
I
time.
think the saddest thing for him this season is you're forgetting how special he is. Like, you just go and type in his highlight reel and you'll see, even, the winner against Newcastle,
Well,
that's
we've
what
needed
he's capable of.
Yeah.
But he's not
In games
really
we've
been
needed
given
that, haven't we? We've needed a spark. We've needed a goal from midfield, which would have been
But he
spot
might
on.
be a new signing for next season.
Just like a new signing.
Can we announce that the day the Bellingham fees agreed to Man City? That would be absolutely
One of the
stellar
three.
social work from Liverpool.
Liverpool Liverpool are saying off record, they're not worried. Fabio Parrello's
Can do a job.
primed.
Trent, and Trent's going to move into midfield.
Fabinho's going centre back.
Yeah.
I tell you one, because you mentioned before about Van Dijk, but one area of Liverpool you look at, and when you look at the squad depth, like we mentioned Bendo, Kate Gordon, Mohamed Salah, like that's the gap between like out and out right wingers is academy players.
Yeah, so no one else there.
Can I throw one more wild card in because you mentioned the name? If someone came and offered 100 million, 120 million for Mohamed Salah in the summer, yes or no, would you sell him?
No. Not right now.
That's a horrible question, isn't
It
it?
is a horrible question because I think we all know deep down we need the cash, and we have to. If the cash isn't there to invest,
Oh, we're fucked without him, mate. Who's scoring the goal? Who scored
no one
goals?
wants him to go, but at the same time, we could be forced. We could have our hand
And then,
forced.
but who do you replace him with? You have to go and buy another one. Who's that much money?
Another young.
And we know how hard it is to replace, like Mane, for instance. Luis Diaz has been injured for a lot of the season, and he's, so no, you keep Salah exactly where he is. But you do need to think about that because that gap is, teenagers to a, 30 plus.
Because she
where we
did that
fell
tough
down.
mudder stuff, and there's that obstacle, isn't there, where you're crawling through the mud, and is that the one with the electrified thing over your head?
Yeah.
That feels like Liverpool's transfer business.
I think that's the last thing you
such a
do on the
weird-
tough mudder as well.
Yeah, it is the last one. You run through and get
Yeah.
zapped by that. But
Because you get electrocuted and you fall straight down into the mud face first because of it. Like, it's
And you
crazy.
chose to do this.
Yeah.
it is good fun.
What, you
It's-
get
it was great
electrocuted?
Yeah.
You chose to go and
Yeah,
get
it's
electrocuted.
like
The last,
yeah,
the last
it's-
obstacle is
it's
that
like
you run through
13
it.
kilometres in or something. Like, it's mad.
Just as you're finishing, just before the finish line.
Why?
But if we hadn't had such a terrible season, we just wouldn't even be sitting here discussing stuff like this at all, would we? Do you know what I
It'd
mean?
all be in
It's just-
safe hands, and we wouldn't be worried.
We'd all be
about
safe
it.
hand. We'd need like one or two guys coming in now to take the pressure off the older guys and let them gracefully leave. But we've just had a shocker. Like we have had a shocker.
Following on from Caoimhe's point, again, I'll mention the show that we're doing that's coming out tomorrow. We talked about the pillars that you build around, and me and Josh had some disagreement about who those pillars are because I didn't have Van Dijk and Salah as my pillars anymore.
Yeah.
Which is, so like, because I do think you need to get their replacements in sooner rather than later. They're still in my side for the next 2 years, but I'm just not building a team around them anymore. Does that make sense?
No.
In a way, no.
It does, but I disagree.
Because Salah's going to be 31 next season, at the start of next season. Virgil van Dijk's going to be 32 at the start of next season. And I think you've got to
Babies,
have...
Chris.
What?
Babies.
Yeah, I think
babies.
Yeah, Salah's got 5 more years in him.
I'm not sure he does, you know.
Check out the details.
I don't think he does have 5 more years.
And I
in him.
think at some
Not at the
point you
top
have
level.
to, at some point you have to look at him and say, when are we going to sell him and make some money off him? I don't want him to go at all. He's
Well,
phenomenal.
this has been fucking miserable.
Yeah. Start winning games so we can get the joy back.
Just quickly from the Discord, going back to the Milner stuff. Scott T says, pros of Milner, leadership, homegrown quota, model professional. Jit says, you know exactly what you get out of him at any point, which is important when things will be changing around him. Scott T says, con, he may have to play too much again, not the fastest, wages high for his playing time. And Jit says, maybe he's an easy out for the manager, which means our other midfielders won't be tested in the stressful situations that shape careers. That is actually the really good point about that. We kind of talked around that of
progress blocking.
Yeah, but that's the only way he maybe blocks progress, is like nobody can match his character. So if you get into really hairy situations and you constantly going, James Milner, he's the one who sees it out. Do you deny someone else, again, Curtis Jones, the opportunity to show
see it out?
So you can be the one
I think you mentioned that, Chris, about, or it might have been you, where you kind of want half of his minutes to go to like a young player, but then that might not happen because he's James Milner. So
yeah, it's a good point.
Down to the other
That was a
players.
good point, so Chris made it. That doesn't sound something I'd say. something insightful.
I think what
what
Peter
do you-
did was take some words that I said and made a good point out of it.
Keep him,
Put them in the right order to make sense for a start.
Yeah. Thanks to the people who tried to give us England score updates. I had no idea England.
Italy, in Napoli, because of that fella with the Diego Maradona thing.
No, I never saw
He's
him.
clearly
Did you
dead
see that?
by now.
He's a nutter, but I've heard about him. Not
He had a big flag, and it says Diego's in a box or something like that. And England are playing Italy in Naples tonight.
I love Naples.
Like, if he is not
He's not
DED,
yeah.
I do not know
He's
what
not
is
gonna
going
love
on.
Naples,
He's not
that
going
guy.
to survive.
No.
And he definitely doesn't follow a team that
proper
follows European football.
Obsessed with him there as well, aren't he?
Yeah.
There you go.
It's Crossbow.
The stadium they're playing in is called Diego Armando Maradona Stadium.
Yeah, it's acceptable if you were going to like the Maggie Thatcher Memorial Stadium, fill your boots. It's Crossbow says, I would sell Gomez and Fabinho with FSG being buy to sell, even though it's outdated, and why I think we've fallen behind City, United, Arsenal, etc. in my opinion.
It does go back to the sale of assets thing.
Yeah, we said before.
Shit that we have to
Yeah,
do,
look, we did a big chunk on this on the podcast. So if you want to go check out Originals podcast from Monday, then we did a lot on this idea. Liverpool needs to go and spend big this summer, one way or the other. Or in terms of they need a lot of good footballers to come in. What does that look like? We'll see in due course. Right, that is Thursday Night Pint for this week. We're going to be shifting tone massively for Redmen Uncensored. So come and join us over there. We'll be live in about 15, 20 minutes or whatever over on redmenplus.com. Perfect time to go over and sign up. Of course, to get you some more bevies in and all that good stuff as well. I want to say thank you very much to our wonderful panel of people who've joined me today. If you want to get that show at 50% off for 3 months, use the code TMP when you sign up for a monthly Club Captain subscription on redmenplus.com. And of course, check back for more Pint action next week, hopefully. We'll just be looking forward to the Man City game at a 12:30 kickoff next
looking
week.
forward to it.
You got him.
We're really good at half-time kickoffs as well, thankfully.
Away.
In fairness, we're normally good at Man City games, so at least we've got that. We normally turn up.
Yes, you have to.
You know what I mean?
And it can stop them winning the league, I think, if you beat them.
Yeah.
But then Liverpool have to do that the next week against Arsenal too. So
Just roll over against Arsenal.
Brilliant.
Right,
that is Thursday Night
It's a
Pint.
rollover.
We'll be back on another show at 7 p.m. next week.
Hey everyone, hope you enjoyed that show. I'm sure you did. Do give it a like, it really does help us out. If you want to win some amazing signed Liverpool merchandise that we give away each and every month here at Redmen HQ, very, very simple. Go and become a Club Legend subscriber on Redmen Plus. We've given away signed Gerrard stuff, Suarez stuff, Carragher stuff, and tons more. We'll do it every single month for one of our amazing Club Legend subscribers. So yeah, head on over to redmenplus.com and become a Club Legend today.